Obama, seriously, bro. Seriously, wait, I can't say bro, that might be racist. So, this is going to be slightly controversial. People are gonna be kind of butt mad about it, so stock up on your butt cream because it's gonna be a little hurt going around. Understand these are my opinions. Feel free to leave your own in the comment section below. That's what they're there for. Try to keep the racism and all that stuff to a minimum because I kind of like, this is my channel and I don't want you to do it because I'd hate to just ban you guys that actually like my content for going overboard. But I'd like to talk about a few things. If you guys did not catch it, about a day or two ago, Obama commented, finally released his ideas, his feelings behind the Zimmerman case, which is, if you guys are not from around here, you may not know about it, but there was a kid, this young kid, Trayvon Martin. He was a little black guy, and he got shot by, I think he's mixed, actually. I think he's a white, Hispanic male, and Zimmerman ended up killing him after going after him. Probably not in the best of terms, but I'm not here to talk about that for the most part. But to summarize things, I'll give you my feelings on it so you understand that I'm not trying to pinpoint anything or be harsh towards anybody. Zimmerman got away with bullshit. To be fair, with lack of, any sort of terms, something went wrong there. It's sad to have seen what happened. A family lost their kid. A grown man made the decision to, and this was an option, this wasn't something he had to do, he chose to leave the comfort and safety of his house to go out and pursue what he thought was a criminal or somebody that was vandalizing, whatever. He thought Trayvon looked suspicious. He went out there to confront him, taking a firearm with him. I'm pretty sure, and I don't want this to be about race. I'm not sure, he strapped up, was like, honey, I'm about to go get me a nigga. No, that's not what happened. It's definitely not what happened. He probably looked at him, thought he was black. Yeah, that may have been, part of it, oh, wow, he's probably up to something. Naturally, and to think that racism is gone, no, times are changing, things are a little bit more tolerable. There's always going to be distinction and details behind it. Oh, he's black, he's white. And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be, oh, wow, he eats chicken. Oh, my God, that's a cracker. He probably does his taxes. It shouldn't be anything like that. It should just simply be a detail about a person. He's black, he's white. That's all it should be. He saw, an African-American kid going out there and naturally probably assumed that he was up to no good. So, yes, the reason he went out there was probably because, he saw what he thought to be a thug because of recent break-ins and crime around the area. He thought he was going to go do something. He took the law into his own hands and, in turn, not only jeopardized his own life, but another kid's. Had he just stayed inside, that little boy would be alive. And he should have been charged with something, to be straight honest. Something should have happened somewhere because he chose the option. He took the responsibility into his hands to go out there with a deadly weapon, got his ass whooped, then shot the boy in self-defense. You can't really do that. You took the weapon out there, you confronted him, you should be liable for something. That was your decision as an adult to go do that, putting yourself in danger, so you should have been fully accountable for what happened. Now, let's talk a little bit more about what I'm upset about, and this is not that. I mean, I think Zimmerman got away with it. Something should have happened there. So he went out there strictly because he thought the kid was up to no good. Now, I may be differently. I see a kid outside, white, black, doesn't matter. I'm like, I'll classify somebody. I'll put somebody down like, oh, that's a thug. That's a wannabe fucking gangster. I'll be like that, but whether or not he's white or black doesn't matter to me. So I'll look at somebody like that. If I see somebody suspicious in my parking lot, I don't care what color. It could be a goddamn Smurf. You know what I mean? With his pants sagging and his hat off to the side. I'm like, whoa. And I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to be like, yeah, he's up to something. And that's how it is. So you can look at somebody, and people naturally judge. That is the human condition. We naturally look at people. We try to size people up. That's why image and media and everything blows everything up. We're always worrying about how we're better than somebody or what we want to be better as. And it's always about comparing yourself to other people. So naturally, we look at people, and we're like, oh, well, he's inferior. Or I'd like to be more better than him. I'd like to be superior than him. That's just how we look. So I get on and I check the news. Now, understand, this is Obama, right? The first black president. Big thing. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders. Not because he's simply black, but because of what he's overcome to get to where he is. We have grown in times where racism is a problem. We have grown in times where there's prejudice and wrongdoings and everything like that. That is something that is there. I grew up in an entirely black neighborhood. I will tell you firsthand that I dealt with racism. I got bullied. I got targeted simply because I was black. Or because I was white. I was different. And that's what it is. People naturally fear and are uncomfortable about things they don't understand. They see a black person and they're like, huh, my little 4-year-old brother sees black kids and he's scared. He doesn't know. He feels that way naturally because he doesn't understand. He thinks they are actually different. He thinks, oh my God, that's a black boy. I don't know if we could be friends, because he doesn't know, because they're different. So he doesn't know. Just like naturally, why kids and people and even adults fear the dark is because you fear the unknown. You don't know if it's good or bad. You naturally, as a person, would rather feel more secure at not knowing rather than putting yourself out there for something. So during the situation, I dealt with that growing up. So as much as people like to say, you think racism, and I think it too. When I think racism, I think white on black. I naturally do. It's just part of what I'm used to. You think slavery and everything like that. That's where your mind trail goes. But it's not like it doesn't happen the other way around. It's not like it doesn't happen with other races. Everybody thinks white on black, but, there's all kinds of different races around the world that deal with different things and at different levels. So this thing out of nowhere became a thing of race. The trial is whole self. The reason it blew up is because people were just straight up thinking it was just specifically aimed at race. He went out there because he saw a black boy and naturally thought he was up to no good. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Nobody wants their kids to be in danger like that. Nobody wants them to be looked at, profiled, just anticipating like the worst from that person. Nobody should deal with that. But it's out there. There's nothing's going to happen about that. That's not going to change. Years down the line, back in the day, I'd look at that and I'd see kids 10 years ago. And this is how times change as we, as a community, as a world, adapt and grow on and become a little bit more tolerant and understanding of people. Things get better. 10 years ago, I'd see a white dude walking down the street dressed all, pants sagging like fucking crazy little thug. And I'd be like, oh man, that's a wigger. Naturally, I'd just be like, wow, he wants to be black. That's how I was 10 years ago when I was a kid, when I didn't know any better. Nowadays, I'm like, that's just a fucking... Whoa, you're wearing a belt, bro. Your pants are down your knees, but you're still wearing a belt. Makes no sense to me. So then I just naturally just look at him as a thug. So that kind of stuff is not going to go anywhere. That's what we are as people. Now, 7 minutes into this, I'm going to talk about my problems with Obama. Obama goes on. He leaves the speech, which I do give him respect for this. I give him props for speaking up because you could tell, and he said, this was not done, this was not written, nobody told me to do this, because nobody in their right mind would have advised him to go ahead and do this. When he says, when Trayvon Martin was shot, I said, this could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago. He goes on to talk about there are very few African-American men in this country who haven't had the experience of being followed when they were shopping in a department store. That includes me. There are very few African-American men who haven't had the experience of walking across the street and hearing locks click on the doors of cars. That happens to me, at least before I was a senator. There are very few African-Americans who haven't had the experience of getting on an elevator and a woman clutching her purse nervously and holding her breath until she had a chance to get off. That happens often. So the African-American community is looking at this issue through a set of experiences and history. What happened one night in Florida through that lens. It's important for people to have some clear expectations. Traditionally, these are issues of state and local government. The criminal code, law enforcement traditionally is done at the state and no local levels. Now, that's basically where he was going. He was talking about the defense, how everything went down, the jury has spoken, that's how the system works. And my main situation is that he turned it into something. My issue with him is that he shows he's a beacon, he's an icon showing I did overcome that prejudice. I did overcome all odds and everything being against me. I am a strong male and I did what I needed to. Not for my people, but for me, for my family, for my country. And then he designates that we were treated differently. I was treated differently. I'm not going to sit here and blame how things were bad in my youth because I was white in an entirely black neighborhood. That's not going to happen. And that kind of stuff shouldn't exist. I'm straight there, honest with you. That I don't believe anybody should be picked out for something like that. I'll tell you straight up, like family, friends. Naturally, a lot of my white family and friends are just intimidated by black people, like entirely. Doesn't matter if they're in a suit or in anything. They're just naturally intimidated by black people. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. I mean, nobody can tell you how to feel or what is right. But what I can tell you is we do have that right to feel that way. Every person has the right, if they want to be racist to somebody else. I mean, that is something out there. You may not like it, may not tolerate it, but everybody has the right to be like, oh, wow, that happened. You know what I mean? But my problem with Obama is he's the president. He's the leader and a person of the country. His job is to look after the country. What he did is he says, we need to spend time in thinking about how we bolster and reinforce our African-American boys. Give them a sense that their country cares about them and values them. What this says to me is he's turned it into something about race. He's trying to put a little bit of strength back into the community, primarily the African American community, to let them know that he cares about them and he wants this to happen. The problem is he's separating the communities. He's separating. He turned this into a situation of race. So by classifying them, by putting them in a group, he separated them from everybody else, meaning, you know, African Americans, black people. He instantly was like, I got you. I know this is wrong. I'm working to help you. So what this says to me, and this is what this is going to say to a lot of other people, and this is how people are going to interpret that. What they're going to say is, wow, so he's going to give special treatment to black people. He's going to care about them over the needs of everybody else. That's what he sees. So him being a black male running this country, the first, you know, this in my opinion was a bad move for him. I again, like I said, I grew up. I don't have those fears other people do. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. I don't go across the street and walk on the other side of the sidewalk when I'm next to a black person. I don't give two shits because that's what I grew around. You know, I'm used to being around black people. I was actually naturally afraid of white people. I cried my first day of high school when my mom put me in a private school because I have never ever been around white people before. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know if they were different. I didn't know if the stories were true. You know what I mean? I didn't know. And I cried on my first day of high school, fucking trying to grow up, but I was crying freshman year, first day, didn't lie. So, these things are going to be different. People are going to be characterized, they're going to be classified, they're going to be broken down into groups, what they are, what they aren't. But they should be about how they act. For example, he was talking about going, if I had a nickel for every time I was followed through a convenience store around here, and it's not because I'm white. It's because the neighborhood. It's because that shit happens so often that if they see a kid, they're just naturally going to be suspicious. If they see a black person down the street, they're going to lock the door because they're uncomfortable. Not because he's just black. I mean, it's just different things there. But the thing is, that's people. That's humans. We're not going to change. The only thing that's ever going to change that, the only way that you can actually do anything about that, is let time take care of it. Sooner or later, people are just going to be tolerant about it. What we need to not do is classify and break people down into groups like what Obama did. He said specifically that we need to do more about this. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to keep helping that. I mean, he could have done a lot more at letting people know that he wasn't singling out a certain group of people. To a lot of white people, that's going to look wrong. He's going to be like, wow, we let a black guy in a president, this is what happens. They're going to look at it like that. If this would have happened before re-election, he wouldn't have won it. And I'm going to be honest about that. I'm not saying I don't like Obama or anything like that because honestly I don't care about. I don't vote. I give two shits because I don't want to be responsible for whoever's messing our country up. So it's just not me. I'm not into politics or anything like that. But I do understand responsibility, power, and control. And if you are a leader of something, it's your job to lead and to make your people feel comfortable. Breaking this down, letting it get personal, publicly speaking, and talking about how it's hard for black people doing this and that, yeah, it may be true. But it wasn't right to do as a leader, because it's going to single people out, it's going to separate nothing, and do nothing but put wedges between people. That was a step back, in my honest opinion. That was doing nothing but put more fear and concern and problems into our country. That was not, you know, I know he meant good. I know he meant well. I really, really do. But I think, you know, it was a rough subject. Like I said, I give him props for talking on it. So I think for his position is what made that wrong for the standard opinion of somebody, and that's just how it works. It's how it works with anybody with power or presence or anything like that. And I get judged the same way. If I say, oh wow, I think Level Cap's video game commentaries are boring as shit, he's monotone and I hate him, people are going to look at me, oh wow, you're jealous of his success, you're this and that. It's because I'm somebody else. I'm not just a person. I'm not just a viewer. My opinion matters in a different fashion. So when I say something like that, people are going to take the word like, oh, wow, you're jealous. Oh, wow, he's better than you. Oh, wow, you know, things go negatively because I have that presence, because I'm somebody that has a little bit more control in that. So that's the kind of the same situation you're dealing with right now. I figure that he scared a lot of people away from things. It put more pressure on racist problems, and that's just how it is. So that's just where I feel about it. Feel free to leave your own comments down below. Hopefully you made it this far into the commentary. You can understand, you know, I don't hate Obama. I mean, he's got a family. He's a father. I think he's a good father. I don't give two shits if he's black, white, raccoon, squid, hippie. I don't care what he is. He's a person. He's trying to do the best he can. I respect him for it. But I think what he was trying to do, He just did it all wrong. He tried to reassure the community. But anyways, it was just something I felt emotional about, something I felt like I needed to get out there. I understand firsthand the importance of, equality and everything like that. But there are going to be certain things that will never change because we are who we are. I just feel like with his stature, who he is, that he should have gone about that a little bit differently. And it really upset me because it really just went in between. It was something he didn't even have to do in the first place. So I think he did nothing but hurt himself. I think he hurt future, possibilities for future African Americans to be president, because people are going to look back, white people specifically, maybe not intentionally, maybe not consciously understand, but they're going to people be like, wow, last time we brought a black president in, he took the needs into the African American community more instead of focusing on, more relevant situations. People are just going to take this the wrong way, and I was kind of upset at that. So that's why I did this commentary. Anyways, have a wonderful day, guys.